We'll go ahead and start. Welcome to our Kiwanis Media Night. It's a great night. Traditionally, we've always had the candidates come when there's an election year for our city, and we're so excited to have them here with us tonight. We have another one. She'll be here in just a minute. It's pretty simple. We're pretty laid back. This isn't a debate. We just ask you guys to take 5-10 minutes and explain to us, kind of talk about your roles if you're serving on the council, why you'd like to serve on the council, some things you'd like to see maybe done differently, things that we're currently doing. And the order in which I'm going to ask you to speak is this. I printed out a sample ballot today, and it looks to me, it's not in alphabetical order, but that's okay. So Chad and Stacie and Shane and Brandon, ask you guys to tell us a little bit about yourself and your family, and maybe how long you've lived in the city, and just kind of your aspirations and what we got going on. And we'll turn the time over to Chad.
So Chad Argal, I've lived in Spanish Fork my whole life, graduated from Spanish Fork High School, went to college at Utah Technical College, now UVU, so as it advances up through the thing. My family, my parents are Joyce and Bud Swanner. I'm married to Teresa Evans. We have 4 children and 13 grandchildren. Currently live up on the east end of Spanish Fork. Have served, this was my first term with Spanish Fork City. My grandparents are, most people usually know my grandparents, Rhea and DeLoss Huff. DeLosses, who started the riding club many, many years ago, and awful proud of that. We all are, because that's something that's endeared to this community and our rodeo and our fairgrounds and everything else. But I have absolutely enjoyed serving on the city council for the last 4 years. Learned a whole bunch. It's funny when you throw your hat in the ring and say, yeah, I'd like to run this, and then you learn about the city, learn how it works, learn some of the things, and you get to know the people that are involved in our city, our departments, and all the employees that it takes to run the city. I'm the one that, yeah, okay, we get to spend that money. I get to say, yes, we approve it. But then the boots have to hit the ground. And that's where the work's done with all those employees. And we have such an awesome group of employees. All of our departments, our Parks and Rec, our Public Works, they do such an awesome job keeping our community clean, safe, public safety. We had an opportunity to do our ground baking for our 62 fire station that'll be built up on the east end of town. Pretty cool to be a part of that and see that as we grow and what that'll do to the community. Make the response times better. I think the communities, when you go up there and talk to some of them, people that are excited to have a fire department in their neighborhood and the response times. I'm currently serving on the Nebo Water Agency Board. I'm also on SUMWA, which is a water agency board also. The Nebo Agency is we're trying to put together a groundwater management plan. So as we go forward with the city's water, the city is in very good shape as far as the water for current and future needs. But we are trying to protect our water. It is becoming a more and more important resource. I think everybody knows that. But I sit on that board. I'm also currently serving on, so it's the WWPT, wastewater TP. I keep thinking toilet paper because it's the wastewater treatment plant. So our sewer plant is 50 years old. It's been updated once, and it's sitting on that board as we evaluate and renew and have some people look at that so that we can look to the future of expressing and changing some things that are going on with that plant. Sewer plant is important, our wastewater is important, and as our community is growing, Mapleton City is a part of that sewer plant, 25 or 6%. So that's been an interesting process to go through that and get to understand how our treatment plant works and operates, and needing to be updated. I also serve on the senior board, and that has been an absolute pleasure for me to be on that board. I enjoy the one thing when I started doing it, you don't always get communication. A lot of the seniors don't have computers. They watch the news at night, which, you know, Spanish Fork and a lot of them do have the SFCN at their home, so they get to watch that. But I started doing a senior minute, and just get up on and tell a few things that's going on in our city, and then answer a few questions. And you know, if I don't show up for that, and I see them in the Macy's, the first thing they walk up and grab me by the arm and say, "Where were you at membership meal?" Because it's like, I had to miss, I was busy. Well, we need to know what's going on. You need to be there. So the seniors and I've enjoyed serving with them. It has been a truly an honor and a pleasure to serve with the seniors. I am looking forward. Did you want to talk about why we're running? So I'm looking forward. Probably the biggest reason that I want to continue for the next 4 years, I want to see a couple things with the water completed. I've asked to be a part of that wastewater treatment plant. Would like to see that to come to an end. But I kind of started a thing with the All Abilities Park. And I don't know if you watched the council the other night. We had a citizens of Spanish Fork who has donated some money to get this All Abilities Park completed, and I want to see that completed and done. And we've kind of been given some short orders. We got to get it done in a short period of time, and I hope to be a part of that and get that completed. An All Abilities Park is it's for special needs, and also everybody can go to the park. And there's a few of them around the state. I've gone to a few of them, even a couple out of state, and they turn into an awesome thing. And it's something our community doesn't have and absolutely needs. Nebo School District has approximately about 4,500 special needs children, and all gamuts to severe and, you know, autistic and Downs and all kinds, and they need a place to go. And so that's one of the biggest things why I'm running. I'd like to see that completed. I think it's going to get done regardless, but it's an exciting time to see that happen and involve the community and get that completed. And so those are the couple of reasons why I'm continuing. Plus, I have enjoyed serving the citizens of this community and being a part of it. The one thing that everybody says all you become is a reason for everybody to chew on you. And I know that Brandon, and I think Stacie has too, and Mike has too. I've not had people get mad at me. I've had a few that's called me or said, "I need to talk to you," and I've just gone over to their house and we've had a really good conversation. So I don't know that there's anybody out there that's mad at the council per se, but I've had some good conversations with our citizens, and I love talking to them. And sometimes that's one thing I've done is knocked on their door, and it surprises them, because if they send me an email and a big long letter, then I'll just, "Can you tell me where you live?" And I'll just go knock on their door and we'll have a conversation. And that's been a wonderful experience to talk to the citizens and help them understand what's going on with the city. Because sometimes at our council meeting, we don't always get the details down where we need to be, and then some people have some more questions, and it's been an joy to serve. Thank you for your time and allowing us to come talk to you.
I'm Stacie Beck, and I am hoping to earn your vote for a second term on City Council. And just a little bit about my background. I grew up in Spanish Fork and raised my kids here in Spanish Fork, and I was able to be a stay-at-home mom. And I remember in my 20s people or the church saying, be involved in your community. And I wanted to say, what the heck, really? I have 4 small kids. There's no way I can give back right now. How do people do it? But now I feel that I am at a really great stage of life to give back to the community of Spanish Fork, and I've loved doing that. I currently work at Utah Valley Magazine. I've been there about 14 years, and my husband works over at Micro Focus, and all my kids are in their 20s right now. And I just love the people in our community. I love being around people. I get a lot of just positive energy. When I went to the farmer's market a couple weeks ago with my husband, we went for one watermelon, and it took us 1 hour. And when we got back in the car, he said, I'm never going anywhere with you again. I'm like, didn't you just feel all the positive energy? It was so fun visiting people. He's like, all I wanted was a watermelon. And so I really love visiting with different people, whether it's an email or in person or talking to someone at Macy's. I want to be approachable, and I feel like I am approachable and can listen. I think that's super important. We don't always get everything right, and it's really a positive thing to get feedback from the residents in our community where we can listen to their different points of view and then represent your voice. And I've really enjoyed all of what boards I've sat on. Thank goodness, because they're on water and garbage. So I've loved everything that I've done. I don't know. They seem happy though, right guys? They seem to love it, but I've had the chance to serve on the Chamber of Commerce for a couple of years. I was president of the Chamber of Commerce in 2015 during my campaign back then, and I really learned and grew during that time, but also built a lot of important relationships with businesses throughout the community. And so that was a fun time to continue serving with the Chamber of Commerce. And I currently serve on the Miss Spanish Fork board and the Fiesta Days. That's a big one, but that's definitely the funnest because everyone in Spanish Fork loves Fiesta Days. I've been able to get to know a lot of the volunteers throughout the community and then have the chance to go around and ask people to volunteer more, to give up more time and give back to our community. And I feel like I'm an active role. I don't just sit back and watch it happen. I get out there, I go to the people's homes, involve them, ask them to participate. I came up with the idea of having some more announcers on the Main Street Parade route, so just the people around the City Hall and library they shouldn't be the only ones hearing about who's going through the parade route. So now we have some new people out there and some other fun things. The calendar of events kind of gets longer and larger and larger as we have new people come in. It was kind of getting to be like a 14-day event, and that's a lot to ask of our city staff and volunteers. So we looked at a couple of things of where we could maybe cut a couple things out and make it a little bit more doable. So that's a fun program to be on. I'm currently serving on the Youth City Council, and that's a blast, and the library board. So I hope to have earned your vote and hope that if you have any questions in the next 4 years that you can come and visit with me.
So welcome everybody. My name is Shane Marshall. Thanks for having me here. I have not been here in Spanish Fork as long as Chad has. We moved in 1977 to here. I was 4, so I haven't been here my entire life, but close to it. My parents moved from Springville. And we have not left. I met my wife here in Spanish Fork. We raised our family here. Proud graduate of Spanish Fork High School. After high school, I went to Utah Valley Community College, which is the progression, right? From there, I went to BYU and graduated in civil engineering and worked for the Utah Department of Transportation for 25 years. I retired from there almost a year ago now, so I'm a pensionee, and I'm very, very proud of the fact that I put in my public service and now I work in the private sector. During that time, the last 5 years, I was the deputy director for the department, so I helped run the department for the last 5 years, and pretty proud of the things we accomplished over those 25 years at UDOT. When I decided to get into this race, the very first question someone would ask is why? Why would you want to do that? And I've thought about doing it for a long time, and I didn't have a good answer to that. Oftentimes you hear candidates say, I got into this because I love the city and I want to give to the city. And I do all those things. I love the city. We wouldn't be here if we didn't. But I wanted to have something to do. I wanted to make what is the thing I wanted to do? And for me, it's the right time because I think Spanish Fork is at a crossroads. We have grown so much over the last 30 years, and it's been fairly simple to plan. We've had plenty of space to grow, and I think over the next few years, next 30 years, it's going to be much more difficult. And frankly, I want my kids to be able to live here and for them to want to live here. So how do we accommodate that growth that allows my children to be here and their kids to be here in a way that they want to be here? And I think with my background of seeing how land use decisions are made across the state, I understand what the impact those have, and I think that I can bring a different perspective to the council and help them make decisions that allow our children to live here and to want to live here. So for that, we have to have a quality of life, and I think an all-access park is exactly the kind of thing that we need in our community. We need to have things in our community that allow people to want to stay. And room for them and affordability housing for them to live here. So I think that's something I bring. I want to make sure that we have those opportunities. I actually miss public service. So after 25 years of public service, I thought I could just ride into the sunset and work in the private sector and never come back. And it took about 6 months, and I needed to figure out a way to come back to the public sector and serve again, because it's just a lot of fun. Like Chad said, there are times that you get people that disagree with you. And my time at UDOT, there were a few of those folks. But those were the best time when you could sit down and have a very good conversations with someone and actually explain to them why you're doing something. And many, many times it's just a matter of communication. So what I hope to bring on the council is a spirit of communication, a spirit of transparentness. I've gone to or watched city council meetings for the last year, and oftentimes the why doesn't get talked about. There's a lot of action that happens, there's budgets that get passed, and not a lot of the why. And I think a lot of that why happens, but it's just not out there in the public. And I want to make sure that we are sharing the why with everyone, let people understand why those decisions are being made, why we're spending that money, why we're not spending money over here. So my hope is to bring transparency to the city council as well. So that's me.
I'm Brandon Gordon. I grew up in Lake Shore and graduated in 1995 from Spanish Fork. And so I don't know if that counts, but we called Spanish Fork home all of our life. Randy and Joanne are my parents, and my grandparents are Keith and Beth. And many of you probably had the opportunity of Grandpa Keith driving you in the school bus to school or maybe to a ball game. I grew up as Shane, one of my heroes, and as he played baseball with my older brother, and so now he says he wants to be like me. I wanted to be like him. Now he wants to be like me. So we just wanted to get that out on the record. For the record, is that accurate? He's not going to go on record to say that. But we live up on the East Bench, not too far from Chad, by the Reese Elementary School. When I say that, it's the new Reese Elementary that was built in the early 2000s. We have 6 children, 5 girls and 1 boy, and so you can pray for me if you'd like. They keep us on our toes, but I work for a Main Street business. I work for Clark Swenson at Security Insurance, and I've enjoyed selling insurance for almost a decade now. Before that, I was an asphalt estimator, and worked in road construction, and so Shane and I sort of bounce a lot of things off each other's brain that way. But I've really enjoyed my time on the council. As of late, I am serving on the Chamber of Commerce Board, and it's been fun to work for a Main Street business and see the growth that's happening out at City Creek. Lowe's that'll open within a month, and the new hospital in a year, and of course the Costco now has been open for long enough to see the benefit of having them in town. And last year, Councilman Mendenhall and I, we went over to the All Abilities Park in Orem that Chad was referencing, and we watched some kids playing on that, and that was part of our emphasis on that the RAP tax as we put that on the ballot last year, and it passed, and we'll see roughly now $700,000 in extra tax generated, and we think that more than half of that's coming from people outside of our community that shop inside of Spanish Fork and eat at our restaurants, and those things are wonderful. wonderful as we see growth. But on the chamber, it's been wonderful to see. Last week we had a ribbon cutting for a Main Street business, Shootology. They make custom guns in town, and who'd have thought, you know? And it's the same family that owns my sister's closet. And it's just been wonderful to see Main Street stay the same. A lot of exciting things are happening. I know Mr. Christensen's going to finish cutting hair next to Zion's Bank, and his children plan on renovating that space and building their office building for their architectural firm, is what they're telling me. So it's just fun to see Main Street continue to be vibrant, and that's been an enjoyable thing as I've worked on the chamber board. Another thing that Stacie mentioned is I am on the garbage board. And part of why I wanted to continue to serve, I thought maybe I'd be done. 8 years ago, we met with the Kiwanis as I was running against Councilman Dart and Councilman Davis, and we met up at the, what did they call that place? The Little Acorn. And well, it was Frontier Pies at the time, wasn't it? So 8 years ago, and I was just thinking about that as I walked in and thought, man, it's been a quick 8 years. A lot has happened since I met and introduced myself to the Kiwanis Club back then. And the reason I bring that up is earlier this year, I was nominated by our sister cities that are part of that garbage district as the chairman of that board. And the reason that's sort of important is we've joined a group called New Era, and that group is basically all of the garbage entities throughout the state of Utah. We let them buy into our landfill out in Bayview, and that gave us close to $10 million. That $10 million and the sale of the land in Springville, where our current transfer station is and is too small, we think we'll be able to build our new enclosed transfer station next to the jail in Spanish Fork without having to raise your garbage rates. And those are important things to your family and to mine. So as the chairman of that board, I wanted to continue to serve and see that through. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about the library. And that construction that we have closed on the church next to the city office building, plans to build a new library in that space, tear down the church, build a new library there. And it's an important space for our community. It's evolved. It's still, people like to touch the books. A lot of people need the digital. A lot of people need a meeting space. And we've learned a lot from our neighboring communities, say Springville, in what's good and bad about their library, and I know we'll go forward and we'll build something that our citizens can be proud of, and I'm very proud about how we were able to fund that. We listened 4 years ago when I ran for my second term, and people said, hey, the Life Center is just too big. 40 million, it's too big, and so, but what we heard most people say was we wanted a library, and so we've responded to that. We've kept it downtown. I think that's also an important part. So we'll build the transfer station, and that construction will begin. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, and Chad did touch on this, is earlier this year I was appointed to the Water Quality Board for the whole state of Utah. It's a governor's appointment, and that's important to represent Spanish Fork on this Water Quality Board, as I've watched other cities come and ask for grant money and loans from this governing board, and they're in great peril. Their sewer rates are double and more than ours. We're roughly in the $25 a month range, and if we have to put $80 million into our facility, that's a hard thing to come to you and the families and say, okay, your sewer rates are going to double. So we've done some things that have helped us be able to potentially keep those rates low, and I'll stay on that board and continue to serve, and that's another thing that I want to see through, so that we make sure if we don't have to put $80 million into it and we can do it for less, let's do it for less. And so I've said a lot, and hopefully if you have any other questions, you can reach out to me anytime. I've enjoyed serving. I love the people of Spanish Fork. I I didn't mention, we did the groundbreaking on the new fire station today. Chad mentioned that, but that's also a board I've sat on and helped throughout that process over the last year, making sure that we build a building that our community's proud of. And I've enjoyed working with Chief Adams. That was one of the first things I did was that transition from Chief Rosenbaum, sort of a difficult one, if you will, to the hiring of Chief Adams. We've hired 10 police officers during his time, 2 canines, a victim's advocate full-time, and added so many activities and things, and our public safety is awesome. And so I've enjoyed that, and so I also wanted to mention that. But thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
Hey, once again, thank you so much for being here tonight and attending our Kiwanis meeting. This is one of my favorite meetings that we have. We only get to have it kind of every other year, but it's great.